Hi everyone, thank you for coming to my exhibition. It's titled Little One. There's a couple reasons it's titled this. First of all, my mom's nickname for me growing up was Little One since I'm the youngest child. Mom approves. And secondly, I felt that it really fit my art. I make these really small scale pieces depicting these little moments in time, and now it's culminating in this big exhibition. Now, if you asked me at the beginning of senior year what my exhibition would look like, I never would have guessed it would end up the way it is. I probably would have guessed it would be filled with drawings and paintings like these I had done at the beginning of the school year, since I consider myself a drawer and a painter for most of my life. So for those who don't know, I had to take the junior capstone class and the senior capstone class in reverse, since I studied abroad last spring, and while it's very doable to take these classes in reverse, nothing could have prepared me for the whirlwind of senior capstone. I came in with my main concept centering around my travels. As my artist statement begins, ever since I was 6 years old, my family has taken a yearly trip to a different country. We wouldn't do guided tours or get a private driver. Instead, we would rent a car and find the most secluded and magical places. Starting at a young age, I got a camera and would photograph moments that were important to me, new to me, or that piqued my curiosity. So I came in this year with the goal of simply depicting my photo archive and drawings and paintings, which was a practice that's been ingrained in me since a young age. I would go to my grandpa's house and do a little summer camp with my grandpa, and we would paint together, and he had this practice as well of going on our trips and taking photos, and then coming home and sifting through those photos and then recreating those in drawings and paintings. So I expected that that's how my senior year was probably going to go. However, in senior capstone, everything I thought I knew about what I wanted to make and what I should be making was turned on its head. All of the comforts I had in drawing and painting were banished and replaced with wild experiments like these, so far out of my comfort zone or experience. I was making things that didn't really feel like art to me, and let alone my own art, and I was struggling to see the potential in these experiments on my photos the way my professors could see. Nevertheless, I carried on, creating things in this weird state of mind, not sure who I was as an artist, and I remained in that state until I found something to ground me, which was string. I'd never been drawn to string as a way of making art. Yet after pillaging the sculpture studio and messing around with some of it that I found, something kind of clicked. From then on, my experiments didn't really feel complete without the use of string. I used it to hang things, to connect things, to sever, to disconnect, and to depict. And this semester, I only really picked up speed. Each piece used more and more string until I dove into the world of embroidery and taught myself how to embroider. The movement, texture, and directionality you can make with string really excited me. I had no idea all the possibilities different stitches could make. It gave me that ability to get really up close and personal with my work, which was something that I really needed in my drawing and painting, so I really enjoyed that. And that really, the hands-on experience of embroidery became kind of hypnotizing to me. I would sit there for hours working on these tiny things, making little tiny stitch after stitch, and time would kind of fly by. I also began including myself in these works, as you can see, from my mom's photo archive of our trips. As I further explained in my artist statement, this feeling of dissonance kind of arose, comparing my memory of the trips to the photos I took on the trips, to the photos my mom took of me on the trips, and my work became less of simply looking back at my travels and more of an exploration of my younger self and my present self, with the main tangible commonality between us two being those photo archives. And that's pretty much, oh, that's not supposed to look like that, but whatever. That's pretty much how we got here. It was time consuming and tedious making this body of work and putting this whole exhibition up. It became almost like a mind map of sorts, and I really enjoyed the whole process of physically mapping out all these connections I saw in my works and in my memories, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. So I just want to wrap up by thanking a bunch of people. I'd like to thank Leah and Marissa and David, as well as all the gallery interns for helping me pull this whole thing off. I couldn't have done it without them. I'd like to thank Katie and my fellow senior art majors, Laura and Natalie, who's not here, but you guys really helped me through senior capstone, even though I was so chronically behind you guys and stressed out all the time. Katie, your patience and faith in me was very much appreciated, so thank you. I'd like to thank the junior capstone class for welcoming me into their class and all the great ideas they gave me for my work and my exhibition as a whole. It probably wouldn't have turned out the way it did without them. And lastly, I'd like to thank my parents for always fully supporting me as the creative arts child whose career path is not nearly as clear as my older brother's, but you have continued to support me nonetheless, which I will always be very grateful for, so thank you. So yeah, thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the exhibition. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Oh, Laura.
So I think it's interesting how you kind of started out with these line drawings and then ended up using like string and embroidery. It's almost like line has just always been something that's really important to you, and now you're like teasing it out in a different way.
Yeah.
So I know you talked about how like the textures and the process are really interesting to you, but I wonder like how do you feel like that transition into using string is related to like your like content and how you started to think of your work in a more deeper way about how it's a connection between you and your past self.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I saw that too. Yeah, I don't know. All my line drawings, based off my photos, I have a lot of like interesting angles of like architecture and stuff in my photos, and I really liked all the linear aspects in those. So, kind of highlighting that with the string kind of brought me back to those line drawings. So, yeah. Yeah.
Did you teach yourself how to embroider, or did you like look up tutorials? Did you follow things, or was this like a self-taught?
It was mostly self-taught. I looked up a couple different like stitches, and I was like, those are kind of complicated. I'm just gonna make it up as I go. So, yeah, self-taught. Rachel,
Where are the trips that you went to that like inspired your works?
do you want me to list all of them?
I don't know how many there are, but
A lot of Europe, some Africa, a little bit of Asia, most of the continents. Good spread. Court.
So I'm curious for you how string has changed. Like, what was string to you at the beginning, and what is string to you now?
String at first was like to hold the photos, kind of, to support it, and now they like have become the photos. They were kind of a secondary material with like hanging things and severing, and now they kind of become the main medium for me, like depicting everything in string. So, yeah. Baldwin?
Do you have a favorite piece?
I like the one of me eating spaghetti that I showed. That's a good one. Hello?
In going through all of these old photos and like coming up with the concept for this exhibition, do you feel like your relationship with your past self has changed in any way, or like you've discovered more about yourself?
Yeah. There's definitely like memories that I didn't remember that I would look at of my mom's archive of me, and I was like, I don't remember this at all. I feel like I wasn't there. And so it was like this, it was real, but I don't remember it happening, so it doesn't feel real, that doesn't feel like me. But yeah, it was interesting to look back. I'm a very nostalgic person, so coming to terms with like, that's all in the past, and this is me now, but I'm still me, so yeah, it was nice. Any other questions? Okay, great. We can head to the gallery then.